Welcome to another episode of Esoterica the Podcast. My name is Aaron Christian, and I am your host. Joining me today are Luke Gruntz and Ian Frazier from Cleopatrick, one of my favorite bands of this current time. How are you guys doing?
Good.
It's great to hear. I know it's a really crazy, challenging time right now for a lot of people, and the first question we usually ask anybody that comes on the show is, how are you guys dealing with it?
Been a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
But we're doing all right. I mean, like, we have a lot to be grateful for, but it's definitely hard for everyone, and we're really looking forward to getting back to the normal parts of our lives at some point, maybe this year.
Be nice. It'd be nice if we could get back this year. We'll see if that comes to fruition.
Yeah. Not getting my hopes up.
We just gotta, maybe expect the worst, hope for the best.
Exactly.
Totally.
So Cleopatrick, where did that name come from?
Came from a brainstorming session, I guess you could say. We're just trying to make up band names.
Yeah. It's like a personal band name generator, huh?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. It was. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just remember us texting about it, and there was like so many different possible band names. And kind of just landed on this one because we landed on it.
Yeah, a hot topic. Well, not topic, but just thing for us at the time was combining words and replacing the letters, like Fanny Azer. Like my name would be Fanny Azer. I don't know. We just were doing that a lot, and I think it was just like very automatic for things to like. I mean, not that Cleopatrick's necessarily like Cleopatra and Patrick, but it just kind of blending things was very easy at that time, and Luke just said it. Really, like there's not much more to it. I think I always say that I didn't like it at first, but I don't even necessarily remember if that's true anymore, but I don't know.
So my discovery of you guys is actually really funny because funny to me, maybe not everybody else, but this band Bay Faction I listen to a lot, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with Bay Faction.
We love that band.
Love Bay Faction.
Yeah, so I'm from Boston, and so were they. So I went to a show of theirs, and that's how I met them, just south of Boston. And I was actually listening to them on Spotify, and you guys came up as one of the suggested artists. So
really?
That's how I discovered you guys.
No way.
And then from you guys, I actually discovered Dead Poet Society, and we had Jack Underkoffler on the show not too long before having you guys now. So it's created a really interesting musical branch of my life, which I'm really glad to share on this show and with a lot of other people. But what I'm getting to with this is that when I listened to Dead Poet Society, there was a playlist created that had you guys, Dead Poet Society, Royal Blood, Highly Suspect, like a bunch of these groups in there called Laid Back and Heavy. And I think that is a perfect description of the type of sound that you guys have. And I was curious if you guys would agree that that is a good descriptor of how you guys sound.
Yeah, actually, I've never heard that before, but that is kind of what we're going for, I think.
Totally.
You guys definitely have this sound that's almost like if Highly Suspect and Royal Blood had a baby, and I think that's amazing because they're in a way familiar but different. And so it's what really drew me in, is it's something I'm used to, but in a different way.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great comparison, because I think like when we were kind of starting the band and trying to find not really find, we knew what we wanted our sound to be, but when we were just trying to like find some influences out of all the rock music that was out there, like those were definitely two of the bands that we were like, oh, they're good. And then there was a lot of stuff that isn't quite as good to us. But those two bands, we were like, okay, cool. These guys are doing it.
For sure. And and actually this leads into another question I had, and I'm a bit of a guitar nerd in some sense, and so I have to ask the question. When you play live, do you have a rig set up similar to how Royal Blood, they have that octave going? Do you have anything similar to that you try to emulate? Because it's just really the two of you guys that are making that sound.
Yeah, it's I guess it's pretty much like the inverse version of that. So like I have my guitar signal gets split into two. Well, actually, it used to be split into two. It's split into like a billion pieces now. But back when it was more simple, it was split into two, and half gets sent to a bass amp like an octave down, and the other half just goes through my normal guitar effects. Yeah, but I'd also like to say, let the record show that at the time I thought I invented that, and I really wasn't looking to other bands to figure out how to do that. So I wish it was actually me that invented it, but it seems that a billion people have done it before. It's okay.
Yeah, well, I totally understand that. I'm in this boat now trying to reinvent my sound, and I really wanted to ask that question because, you see the people that you want to sound like or people think you sound like, and, you really want to make it your own. I think that's great that you didn't even know that, you think that's something that you're creating. That's great. So moving on to what I have you guys here to talk about, more specifically, is The Boys, which is your fantastic EP that you put out. What was that, 2 years ago?
I think, yeah, maybe close to 3. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's 2021. Holy crap. Um, so what was kind of the process behind writing this EP? Like, other than, hey, we want to write an EP, is there a place that this came from?
Yeah, like, I guess if we trace it back, our first EP, this band, I mean, we never like had really clear outline plans. It was kind of like bit by bit, we would just decide like, oh, let's try and do this, let's try and do that. So like our first EP we recorded because we didn't know how to book shows, and we thought that we needed like recordings to show bars so that they would book us. Turns out it didn't help at all, but so we recorded that first EP, and then that was just like our music for quite some time, and we just played a lot, opening for people and playing like the same bar in this town called Peterborough like four times a month, just oversaturating it, like completely ruining our draw and doing everything wrong. But during that time, while we were kind of just like we weren't living off it at all, but we were just being a band with that one EP out, we kind of started to write these new songs live. And it was always one of our goals. I still have the whiteboard from like when we started this band with still the exact same stuff written on it. It was, one of our goals was to have a full original set list, because back then we were playing a couple of our original songs, but the rest were highly suspect covers. There was like a White Stripes cover. I don't know, it's just random stuff. We'd play like a Drake cover every now and then. Like it was really scatterbrained. So yeah, like during that time we were kind of trying to reach this goal of having an original set list. And then Ian, do you remember how many songs we had maybe when we decided to like, we were like, okay, let's try and write it, or let's try and record an EP? Maybe 3?
I think maybe the 3, like Daphne, Bernard, and The Depths. I think we had.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So yeah, so we had 3 songs that we decided we wanted to record a 5-song EP. And yeah, it was kind of as simple as that. We wanted to record it because we wanted to like, we had made all these friends playing music, and we wanted to like give them a new thing to listen to. Because we outgrew those old songs pretty quickly. And after playing live for so long, like I think our sound changed a lot. We really like kind of became our own band. And then so yeah, we decided to record this EP.
That's great. That's really fantastic. That I don't know what I was going to say. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. That's okay. My ADHD kicks in from here to there. But anyway, what I do want to do is actually talk track by track about the songs that are on this EP. And specifically, I mean, I know like the first song that we're going to talk about is Hometown. That is a fairly, I think, big song now for you guys. I know I play that song at least once a day. So it's fantastic. So can you tell me maybe a little bit about where that came from? I mean, obviously your hometown, I would assume.
Yeah. So we had those 3 songs, and we wanted to record 5, and we booked the studio and like paid half the fee or whatever. And we're like locked in, and we needed to write 2 more songs. And Hometown was like the last song that happened. Like might have even been like a week or 2 before we went into the studio. Like it was very last minute.
Yeah, it was very, very close.
Yeah. Like I think we had kind of come to terms with the fact that maybe it would be a 4-song EP, and thankfully it wasn't. But yeah, that idea started we were just trying to write songs, and I think we were sending stuff back and forth, and then Ian sent like what ended up being the verse, like this guitar part with kind of some of the melody. And then it was just one of these like serendipitous moments where I had some other parts that were in the same key.
I just got chills, honestly.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, boom, it just
the way
amalgamated.
The way I remember it is I came up with that part and I was like, maybe this is cool. And then I sent it to you and I was like, I don't know. Here's the thing. There's no words. It's just half an idea. And you were like, yo, I think I have something that'll go perfectly with this. And I was like, cool. And then like maybe a couple days or not even, I don't even know how long after Luke had sent me like a version of what would be Hometown. It was pretty much arranged to some degree, like how it is today. And that's like, it kind of just popped together.
It was really cool.
Pretty magically.
Yeah. And we were thankful because we were going to get our fifth song done.
And what I think is really cool about this song is it builds, you know, like it starts from this really kind of soft place and it grows into this just something like, I mean, I've never been to your live show and I really wish I have because I only learned about you when, you know, everyone had COVID. But, you know, I can only imagine just people really getting hype when you get to that point in a song like that. And you can just, I'm just in my car and I can feel it, you know. It's an amazing thing about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's always a special moment in the set when we play that one. And that it's cool, like, because at the time, like, we weren't playing super dope shows. We were playing to like 10 of our friends in like 2 towns, honestly, we'd play in. But like writing that song, I was imagining those friends plus more and like having like these moments like that pre-chorus. I remember that pre-chorus was one of the parts I had separately and just happened to fit with Ian's part. And I remember like imagining like, oh, that the drums would stop there and the guitars would happen. And like, when we do get to play to 100 people, that'll be such a sick moment, hopefully. And then it's cool to see it pay off. Like every time we play that moment, always like we both have chills on stage. It's just like, wow, yeah, this is dope.
Yeah, I remember I used to be in a band and we had a moment where I had people in the audience that were like screaming my lyrics back to me or moshing during parts that I had written, and it definitely pays off. It's like a high that it's a natural high, you know.
Yeah.
It never gets old. Never does.
Absolutely.
Totally.
So the next track is Bernard Trigger, which I love more than anything in the whole world. But I do have to ask, so is this song actually in B standard?
Yeah, I guess it's B. Yeah. I used to know how like all the intervals worked and stuff, and I totally lost all my theory as I continued playing in this rock band. But yeah, like the way I do it is I have a whammy pedal that I transpose my guitar down a fourth, which I do. Yeah, I think that's B. Yeah. And we just did that. I think we might have even wrote the song in E, and then we were like, this sounds so dinky. And then just that pedal changed it.
I had to ask because the tab has it in E, and I tried to play it and it sucked. So
yeah, no, it totally sucks.
True.
But kind of weird. Kind of same to Hometown. Like where did this song come from?
That was one of the ones I can't really pinpoint an exact moment of which maybe you can, Luke. But I remember that was one of the ones that we played live like a bunch, and there was a totally different version of it that Luke had came up with that just didn't have the chorus. Like it was essentially just like the riff acting as the chorus, and we played that live like a handful of times. And I remember that was a cool moment to be a part of, because I remember, Luke, you like coming to me and saying, I feel like it needs something. It needs a change. And that was like a very big learning moment in how like how important arrangements are to songs. Mm-hmm. Like that was something I had never really, I think I was subconsciously aware of, but I was never like, I never thought of it other than when I like heard it in other songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. I remember that too. That was also like, these songs changed a bit when we booked that recording time. It's like I started thinking of them a little bit more critically, and yeah, that one gained a chorus from it. Um, and I think that was 100% for playing it live so much. Like
Yeah.
when you play songs live for people, uh, especially when you do it repetitively, um, you can just like read the energy in the room. And I remember we would always get to that part where the chorus is now, and like there wasn't enough of like an energy shift in the room. And then there we go, added a chorus, and now it feels like a proper song. That's the beauty of being able to like workshop songs live.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And you know, just like I said about the last song, like these are fun songs. You know, these are songs that you can just like you can put on in the car and just put the volume to 100. You know, although I tend to turn it down when people give me weird looks at stoplights, but that's another story.
Same.
You know, but it's really, and like I love to show these songs to people because you just have a certain energy about it and a certain relation to the music. And I've showed you guys to so many people now, and I've gotten a few of my friends to really pick up and listen, and it's fantastic that you've provided something to share with people, and it's really, really cool concept coming out of this EP.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing it.
Oh yeah, I will share it as long as I live. This is the funnest, one of the funnest things I've ever listened to.
Wow, thank you.
And speaking of that, Daphne Did It, which I really feel like is more on the highly suspect spectrum of your sound, which is really interesting. It's like this blues sort of element that gets included in it, and then there's that almost like screaming you have in the chorus there. That it's not even screaming, but just the aggressive vocal. That again, it's that dynamic aspect that you guys bring to the show, which is I think gives it so much energy. But again, with all of these, where did it come from?
Yeah, that one was kind of born around the same time as Bernard, if I remember correctly, and kind of went through the same like story. Like it was a very different song when we first started playing it, and then every night live it would change a little bit. And Ian and I have always had this really cool like unspoken musical thing where like we'll just do the same thing at the same moment, whether it's like leaving out an eighth note all of a sudden and coming back in. Like I don't know, it's kind of hard to define with words, but that kind of improvisation has always been there. And so when we were playing these songs, especially when we were playing these songs to no one, where there was absolutely no pressure,
there was no fear.
Yeah. so like, yeah, they just grew really fast. And I know there's a part in that song that just came straight up from live. I can't quite remember, but maybe you remember.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering exact moments, but that was huge. Like what you were saying about us adding a full 2 bars to a specific spot. Like it was just that skill was cranked to 11 those days too, man. Like we were without even knowing it, writing songs on stage and crafting moments. So I don't know, it is hard to pinpoint, but it seems like it kind of came from nowhere at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that song was written pretty soon after we recorded the first EP. Like I think that's probably one of the like new originals that we had for a while.
Totally.
Played that at like every show.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the video where you guys you were in that you invited everybody to come to the show. Did that actually happen, or is this all staged for this video?
It was actually real. It's funny. Like I think maybe it's just a little too unbelievable, or maybe it's just the way the video kind of came out in the end. But we get that question a lot. People wonder if it's real, but it was totally real. That was one of the best nights of my 20s. Actually, I guess I was probably like 19 at the time. I can't quite remember, but yeah, that was totally awesome. And it was a real party. We rented this bus and brought all our friends out into my parents' living room. My parents and my little brothers went to go see a movie for the night and played this crazy show.
That's incredible. And the weird part is, my favorite part of that video is the tube TV you had with the logo or album cover or something that was on it. It was like one of my favorite parts of that video because it was just, I don't know why it was, but it was.
Super affordable stage design. That's
it was a big set piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a huge tube TV down in my basement. I was thinking of doing something similar with, so I was like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
man.
it's a
Yeah,
great
go
idea.
for it.
So following Daphne Did It is Calling It Off, which is almost like in this, you know, telephone megaphone kind of filter. You know, it really has this like dissonant sound to it where it's not like it's almost like far away.
Hmm.
You know, was that like an artistic choice for the song? Like, did it fit the context of the song, or just like, oh, it sounds cool?
Yeah, you know, this is so funny because just today we realized that the track list is messed up on the DSPs right now.
Yeah.
So actually the way it's supposed to be is hometown Daphne, Daphne, and
The
then
depths.
the depths, and then calling it off. And calling it off is supposed to be a transition into Bernard. But
Oh.
we don't like go listen to our own music on Spotify really. So we completely missed that it's messed up on there. So we're gonna have that fixed.
Yeah.
But yeah, calling it off is supposed to be like the intro to Bernard. Um,
When we first played that song, it was like fully part of the song,
mhm.
just like full band. Um, and then we ended up cutting it when we initially recorded the EP. Uh, and then it came up again. I think we just needed to. I think we were trying to get a grant or something. We needed to have fill up one more track slot, and we
Yeah.
thought, well, that was kind of a. It ended up becoming a pretty cool uh, moment. I think
Hmm.
it was
And that
never like
effect,
when. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that effect was supposed to be like we tried to make it sound far away and small so that Bernard would sound like extra huge when it came in.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
totally,
the goal behind it.
totally.
Well, when we put out this episode, well, I'll make sure we do it in the correct order.
Yeah, sweet.
I'll slice it into the right segments.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the way that Spotify has this, then it's followed by the depths,
Hmm.
which is again a really fun song, and curious to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, that one came straight out of like Ian's drum part. He sent
Mm.
that like uh what is
Like
it? Three,
the
6/8?
6/8 or 3/4
Yeah.
a drum. I really wanted to incorporate a different, just something different. So I was kind of messing around with time signatures a lot, and 5 was a little bit too complicated for the time, I think. So that's like a waltz beat, I think, which is kind of hilarious that it ended up being a rock song. But yeah, I remember sending that to Luke and pretty quickly being stoked about that. And then was that around when you, or had you had the whammy before? Because I like that feels like a pretty fresh whammy effect with
Yeah, I
the
think
main riff.
it must have been fresh. I don't know if I would have made the same decision now if like I don't really think about my whammy pedal too often now in
True, yeah,
songwriting, but
Yeah.
like at that moment it was like, oh my god, this is so dope to play like this.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like this song. I'm pretty sure it's this song. It strips down at one point, and it just
Mhm.
becomes the drums and the vocals.
Hmm.
And again, it's the dynamics you guys do a great job of in this record, or this EP, I should say. It's just you just know the right spots to really accent yourselves, and that's a perfect example of it right there.
That decision was made the day we were recording it in the studio. We decided to add that bridge outro section because we thought that it needed some dynamics. And like I remember as like Ian was tracking drums, I was trying to write the lyrics sitting on the couch in the studio, just trying to figure out like how I could like have the outro, the words kind of match that vibe shift. Um, yeah, and I'm so glad we added that part because otherwise that I think that song would have been a little bit too like runaway train, just you know, riff and excitement.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always a fun song to play live.
And so the last song on this record is, I think probably after Daphne is like my personal favorite on this record, and that's Youth. At least I hope it's the last one. I don't even know if I'm right
It
anymore.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, but it's probably one of my personal favorites. Um, and I won't pref. I'll wait till you say what you want to say about it.
Yeah, I think that that's one of our favorites too. Um, that was again like us trying to be dynamic and like um, it was a collection of parts that just happened to kind of fit together at one point. And that one we didn't like. Hometown and Youth were the two that we ended up writing when it was finally time to record. And so they didn't really get much live workshopping, but we had just learned enough about like what was going off at our set and what wasn't, that we could kind of incorporate it into both those songs. And that's why those are two of the most dynamic songs on the record, is because we just had like already within the span of writing those first three and then writing the last two, like grown so much as songwriters. And yeah, I don't quite remember the history of like how it happened, but I remember it was a lot of work trying to get it right, but we were so excited about it the whole time.
Yeah, I feel like Youth was almost part of like a very long transition period that we might still be in. Like that was, at least in memory, that's one of the songs I remember demoing for the first time. Like really, like, because we demoed some stuff with our friend Tanner, and that was like one of the first times I remember listening back and like really analyzing parts that I had written rather than just based on playing them live. So that was kind of a cool, different thing about that song compared to the rest. I feel like we demoed something else too, but I can't remember at the moment.
Might have been 17.
Whoa.
I think it might have been. That song's been around for ages. That's like a song that we've played live a couple of times, but we've never put out.
True.
And also I just remembered about Youth that it didn't have the outro for a while. It seems like a lot of these songs were like missing pieces until we booked recording time.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that one didn't have the outro, and I remember one night listening to that demo and analyzing it just like you were saying, and suddenly I was like, oh man, like it's totally missing like a moment, like it needs a release. And then that outro happened.
Yeah, totally. I remember I had like in the chorus the hi-hats. It was like it was so stupid. That's funny. Yeah.
See, that's what happens when you don't get to play a song live before you record.
Yeah, and you know what I'm really enjoying about having you guys on right now and having this conversation is you guys are reliving exactly how you went through the songs as I would if I had been in your shoes.
Totally.
It's just like, oh, remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? And I think it just shows like you guys aren't robots. You really like are in this and doing it and enjoying it. And I think that's fantastic. But that's the end of The Boys, and I wanted to tack on the end here and really talk about your newest single, Good Grief, which I listened to at midnight when it dropped because I was not waiting.
Nice.
And I really loved that that website that you guys have put together for all of that. I actually first want to ask about that. What's up with that? It's so unique.
Yeah, man. Like we just like doing our own thing, and there was like, I mean, we've been waiting to put this song out or just put a song out for a long time. Like first it was our recording schedule got messed up because of COVID, and then we recorded, and then we had to kind of took our time getting the mixes right, because at this point we were like, all right, everything's been delayed, like we don't know when we're touring again, let's just take a sec. And then we decided, okay, we're gonna put out a song on this side of the year. We chose Good Grief just because it's kind of like one of the more simple, just casual, still like fun, heavy songs on the record. And we just started trying to brainstorm like ways to put it out that would be cool and like give people something to like feel like they were a part of it, even though there's not going to be a show. We weren't going to do a live stream or any of that stuff. And that idea just kind of came up in chatting with our managers, and we were already working on building a new website with that kind of like 90s computer style design.
Yeah.
And they all just worked together. Like we'd kind of done like this pirate radio stream thing before. And we decided just to do it again, but like knock it out of the park. And it was a lot of work, a lot of little tiny details to stress over in that, but I'm so stoked on how it turned out. And I think that everyone really had a good time. It almost felt like it was a show almost.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually it reminded me we did on this show a while ago an episode about a French EDM artist who created one copy of a record, and he played it on an AM radio station and prefaced it by saying "Pirate Me," so it gave me this kind of callback to that. That's funny, that somebody actually did something like that, and you guys have almost brought that back for that
sick.
4 o'clock stream or something you did that day before, which was really cool. And I missed that, and I was really upset about it. But we got the song when it came out, so that's all that mattered.
That's kind of our goal is to make people upset when they miss things, though. Too. That's a big part
Totally.
of social media. Is like,
yeah,
we love. I mean, it's kind of mean, I guess, but like we love it when people miss out because we know that the next time we post something and like tell them like, oh, like be here, do this, they're way more inclined to do it.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, it's always an awesome experience.
I was slightly hopeful, but knew it wasn't going to happen. That Charlie Brown would make an appearance somewhere, but like a compilation. We couldn't book him; he wasn't around. So that was that. But I really want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to come and talk to me about this record. And I know you guys are all busy, wonderful people, and it means a lot to talk to a small time podcaster. So,
well, thank you. This has been a real treat. Honestly, this has been fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, dude.